Baby cakes. That shit's like weirdly deep.
Yeah, it really is. We've had motion control now, like on all major consoles for about 5 years, 6 years, right? Since the Wii. Do you even like it? Like, is it even something that's ever really worked for you on a level that you enjoy?
Yes, but in a very specific genre, which is mostly dance and fitness.
Yes.
Which 90% of people who play video games probably don't care about.
The stuff that I like, I mean, there's a handful of Wii games that are fun to use the thing with. For the most part, though, I'm just angry at the Wii because I'm trying to play Zelda and I'm doing this, like, hello, is it working? That shouldn't be a thing.
That recalibrate button, the first time I used it in Zelda, I was just like, the fact that this is even here means that you failed. Yeah. You totally failed, I'm sorry.
Dumb business. However, the Kinect has a lot of things on it that I love. Very few of which are actually, I think, what they want me to like. My favorite Kinect game, probably Happy Action Theater.
Yeah.
Also, not a game exactly. It's kind of like if you got sucked into an After Dark screensaver.
I think it works best as like a home automation tool.
If it was built into the 360 from day one, that would have been the coolest fucking machine ever built by humans.
Well, they're saying it might be built into the next Xbox.
Well, I think it's interesting that they've been pushing it so hard when, I mean, even the best games that use it are mediocre at best. I mean, the first thing that I've seen anyway, that I feel really delivers on it is Steel Battalion, and that's because you're using the controller and the Kinect together.
Why isn't that a thing that happens sooner?
I don't know. It seems like ridiculously obvious.
The thing about playing a game in the Kinect, like an actual serious game that you get sucked into, is that it pretty much either has to be like a dancey game or an on-rails game. Like, if you're gonna move, there's not really a smart way to move with motion control.
There's no way to do walking, which is what you need to do as a character.
Yeah, and it's a lot of things a lot more difficult than they should be. Just like simple things like menu navigation. Like, I wish every Kinect game would have some type of either voice recognition menu or just the ability to,
As much as I hate dancey games, I will say that Dance Central has some incredible voice recognition and motion recognition for the menus. Like going through that.
It's one of the few though. Even the games that have voice recognition now, it's so shitty. It doesn't work half the time.
I love how the PlayStation Move, we haven't even mentioned it because nobody uses it.
Yeah. I think the only thing I've seen for the Move that looks interesting to me is
Johann Sebastian Joust.
Yes, which is not even Sony.
Exactly.
No. But if I was and doesn't use video at all. It just uses it as
they're on something.
They're onto something.
They're onto something.
The other thing I was gonna say is PixelJunk 4am, which is kind of cool, but it's just kind of like a music toy to play with when you're high. It's not really like a game. Let me ask you that. You think it's gonna be built into the next Xbox? Do you think? I mean, we know the Wii U is coming in 2 months, and we know that it's going to have all this stuff built into it. Do you think they're gonna push all the motion stuff as aggressively, or do you think they're gonna wanna kind of like go back to basics and get gamers back?
I think it's gonna be the former before the latter. I bet they'll make kind of those two different decisions somewhere down the line, because that's how things always go. Just look at Facebook, how complicated it's become. Eventually, like, once you've been around long enough, that's what you kind of have to do just to keep people excited about your product. And I think Microsoft has almost like cannibalized themselves in a way that they've made it so like specific to a genre that it's really hard to open it up. But now is the perfect time to be doing something like this before the Wii U comes out and steals the spotlight, because who knows what kind of crazy motion control that's gonna have in it.
I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot that we haven't seen really.
You think, even with the tablet? There's a lot of cool things that haven't been like mentioned in passing that I thought were really cool.
That tablet worries me. That tablet is just so big.
I have this
so big for a controller. It's just this weird thing, and you're like this with it, and it's like I don't want it. I don't want it in my hands.
I think they're gonna be taking it's gonna be the Wii DS. It's gonna be taking like the idea of looking at one screen and then being like, what if we had a second screen and you have a stylus to push things on it? What if we had that? I think that's going to be the majority of the innovation we see with the Wii U.
But is that bad? I mean, the DS did it right.
I hate it. I hate it. Yeah.
But you've got a DS and you play it sometimes.
No, I got a PlayStation Vita, which has one screen, and I play that more than I play.
See, I've got a 3DS though, and I don't mind the bottom screen at all. It's actually useful for certain games.
I don't know. When I think about, I think about Kid Icarus whenever I think about controlling a game with a stylus, and I'm just like, that cramped my hands and was like a little awkward. But I really wanted to play the game, but I couldn't because it cramped my hands and it was awkward. And I just see this tablet, and I see me moving it around like this, and I think of the tennis elbow I already get from Wii shit. And I'm just like, this is not cool.
Do you think that every game at launch is going to use the accelerometer on that tablet?
I hope not. You know, you look at these guys who have kind of pledged launch, release, and you look at like things like Darksiders 2, and you like games where you're just like, please, for the love of God, just make it the same as it is on every other console.
I will say the Aliens Colonial Marines, if you've got the motion tracker on a screen below you, that is really cool. That makes sense. And I can dig it.
But we've played it, and it seems weird because the whole thing is using the picking up your motion tracker is supposed to eliminate everything else. And it seems weird if it's in your hands and you've got the controller here and you can see the motion tracker here and the game is on this. It kind of eliminates that. I wonder how they're going to implement it. Because it feels like all of a sudden it takes out the urgency and the immediacy of like picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it, because it's always there.
I worry about games on the Wii U that maybe don't even use the motion control at all and just use the tablet as a regular controller, because who wants to sit there like with a 10-inch tablet on your lap using it? Like, it doesn't feel intuitive at all. Like, you can't grip it the way that you can an Xbox controller. It seems weird.
I think Nintendo might be making the new Dreamcast here.
That actually feels like an accurate assessment to me.
Yeah.
Because they've basically said that it's like one of these tablets per system. They haven't come out and said it, but everybody's assuming it's like you can only use one of them at a time, and then you're using Wii controllers for everything else.
Also, how many Wii controllers got broken and thrown around? And they're like, what if we put a screen on that? Like, that's a great idea. And oh, by the way,
that would really stop people from throwing it around.
It's great for kids who like to fight over everything. Seriously, they'll fight over like dead bugs and sticks and things.
Yeah.
Let's give them this expensive thing to fight over.
That screen will
And
get
there can
dirty
only be
real
one.
fast.
So do we see overall, I mean, do we see motion controls and these sort of more gimmicky hardware controls, are they going to become more prevalent, or are they going to die out? Is this going to be the last generation where we see them, or is this where we're going to see them kind of come into their own and become useful?
I think they'll actually come into their own, and I think Steel Battalion is a good kind of intro into that direction. I think the whole Kinect controller hybrid thing, I really think that they're kind of paving the way for that, and other developers will start to take notice. Because Steel Battalion has gotten pretty great previews so far, and people are really into the motion controls, even people who weren't previously into motion controls at all, like me.
I think that's accurate because the third-party companies always rip off the first party when the first party does something really well.
Yeah.
When you think about the Wii, every third-party Wii game is just a Nintendo game that did well, that's been dumbed down. And I think when people see Steel Battalion, they'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
both at once.
It's really sad that such an innovative, brilliant industry can't figure that shit out on its own.
Right?
It's kind of sad.
I blame Peter Molyneux.
I blame Peter Molyneux for just about everything that's gone wrong in my life.
My beer is like half empty. I blame Peter Molyneux for that.
I had a bad sandwich yesterday. Do you think I could write him an angry
Was it
letter?
an innovative sandwich or a bad sandwich?
Was it interesting but bad? Like, do you feel like it was breaking new sandwich ground?
Do you think that Peter feels that it's a personal failure of his, the sandwich that you had?
I want you to know that Peter Molyneux promises that the next sandwiches that he makes will live up to every promise that he makes about it. Yes, all the condiments that he promised were going to be there,
Like
the
Peter
fancy
Mayhew?
bread. Bread over.